Next on Done in a Weekend Projects, we're talking about the best insurance policy you can have for the beauty of your lawn and gardens, irrigation. Hey everyone, it's Doug Scott with Redeem Your Ground. And once again, I have joined up with our friends at Exmark to do another Done in a Weekend Projects video. If you've ever lived through a drought or forgotten to water your lawn, you've learned firsthand just how reliant anything growing in your landscape is on water. But fear not. Today I come to you with answers, or more accurately, I come to you with an irrigation expert and Exmark friend, Tom Tootle, with Toro Irrigation Systems. Tom, thanks so much for being here, man.
Hey, Doug, it's great to be here. So happy to be a part of this opportunity to talk about irrigation with our friends at Exmark. Toro Irrigation, such a great partner with the Exmark brand, so super excited to talk to you guys today.
No doubt, no doubt. All right, so let's start with the most obvious question. Why are irrigation systems so critical? I mean, I have a hose and it might rain. I mean, come on.
The thing to keep in mind is irrigation is like insurance for your landscape. Everything in these landscapes require irrigation to survive.
All right, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, really, I love that metaphor about investment, because when you're talking about plants and shrubs and trees and flowers and maybe resodding, you're not talking pennies here.
Yeah, not at all. And that's the thing you've got to keep in perspective. This outdoor room that we call a landscape might be the most expensive room in your entire house.
And when you think about it, you know, even the most diligent or disciplined homeowner, which I am not, will go on vacation or forget to water these significant investments, right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Doug. And depending on where you are, your landscape can start showing signs of major stress from not getting enough water pretty much in a matter of days.
And we can't have that. So, when we're talking about irrigation systems, just so that we're all on the same page, what exactly do we mean by that?
Well, let me tell you. So, an irrigation system consists of a number of components. The first one and main one being the irrigation controller. Some people call it a timer.
So basically, it's the brains of the operation.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Doug. So the controller's the brains of the operations, and then it sends a signal out to these electric solenoid valves. And these valves are what release the water out into the system.
All right, so let me get it straight. So these unique valves allow for different type of irrigation to be used on different schedules for the specific use of different zones.
Yeah, in a nutshell, that's exactly right. So what we're talking about is different application for areas of the lawn, right? So for instance, for larger areas like turf grass, we use what we call rotors. And these rotors pop up and they rotate back and forth, applying water to larger areas, which allow you to use less heads to cover that area.
Okay, so what about smaller areas? I mean, certainly we're not going to use this high-powered rotor to beat up against these tender flowers or bushes, right?
Yeah, exactly right. So as we get into beds and smaller areas, we have what we call pop-up spray heads. And these pop-up spray heads throw anywhere from 5 to 15 feet, and they are great for these smaller areas.
That sounds like you have a solution for everything there, Tom.
Well, we tried, Doug. Another thing we need to talk about, though, product-wise, is what we call low volume or drip irrigation. So drip irrigation is great for smaller areas like beds, and it's wonderful because you can put the water out right on the surface so you don't lose any water at all or very minimal to evaporation.
So it sounds like having an irrigation system is probably the most eco-friendly solution to keep your lawn and garden healthy.
Yeah, 100% again, Doug. And one other thing to reference too is a lot of today's systems are very well connected to the control system. And you can turn them off through your phone. You can use rain sensors that'll turn the water off as well. So when Mother Nature is raining outside, your controller knows not to turn on. Pretty cool technology.
Yes, certainly is. So like you said, having the optimal amount of water for any given plant is what's going to make them healthiest and thrive the most. I see where you're going there.
And think about it like this. Let's just say you get home from work and you decide to manually water your yard. You get out there, it's the hottest part of the day, you're running a hose around, you're gonna lose half of your water to evaporation in that application.
Yeah, and I'm paying for it regardless if it hits the roots or it literally evaporates. All right, so I'm convinced that having a smart irrigation system really will pay for itself over time. But what if you have an older irrigation system like I have? can it be retrofitted or upgraded somehow?
Yeah, 100%. As we talked earlier, irrigation timers can be upgraded to having sensing capability, Wi-Fi capability, but even more important than that is the ability to take old sprinkler heads and old spray heads and upgrade those to high efficiency technology. And one thing in particular is high efficiency nozzles for pop-up spray heads. These guys can save up to 30% of your water over a conventional system.
Well, that's great news, really, on a number of fronts. Okay, what about maintenance? I'm a big picture kind of guy, and as long as I see water across my lawn, I think everything's right. Am I good there?
Well, yes and no. On the surface, your system might look like it's doing great, but you could have sprinklers and rotors that are not adjusted properly. Northern climates, you want to make sure you winterize your system because you don't want the pipes to freeze and your valves could crack and so on and so forth.
Okay, that makes sense.
And if your system hadn't been updated in a number of years, what you'll find is landscapes are just like any natural environment. Even though they might have been professionally installed, they grow. And so if you haven't moved your irrigation to compensate for that growth, to ensure your heads are properly aligned and the zones are properly sized and things of that nature, you're going to potentially run into problems and your irrigation system's not going to be working as well as you would want it.
Makes sense. So on a continuum of do-it-yourself to please do it for me, where is irrigation?
Well, it's not to say that you can't do it on your own. Basic upgrades and things like that, pretty straightforward. But if you're talking about putting a brand new system in,
hire someone.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, your plants and your landscape would thank you.
All right, one last question. What's the installation process like? Is it gonna really just take apart my yard?
Well, we do have to get pipe into the ground with any professional contractor out there doing your irrigation installation. So there will be trenching involved, but the cleanup mechanisms will be very professionally done and limit the amount of damage to your turf. Now, one pro tip would be to try to do your irrigation system at a time of year when your plants are growing vigorously.
So for warm season grasses like zoysia and centipede, we're talking about the May into August window is when they're really kind of growing fast. And then for cool season grasses like fescue, we're really talking about spring or fall. I did a video on this about 3 years ago.
Dang, impressive, Doug.
Well, I do what I can, Tom. But in all seriousness, I really can't thank you enough for spending the day with us and telling us all about irrigation systems. I mean, I've learned a ton.
Oh, that's wonderful. I've been really happy to be here and be a part of this conversation around irrigation with our friends at Exmark, and just super pleasure to be here.
Well, thanks, bud. I really appreciate it. Okay. Well, I hope this video has helped you get a better understanding of today's irrigation systems and how they can improve the beauty and vitality and your enjoyment of your lawn and outdoor spaces. For even more information on all things irrigation, please check out toro.com, and you can find that link in the description below. For more Done in a Weekend project videos, please check out exmark.com/backyard. There you'll find lawn care and DIY content that will really help you live your best backyard life. Thanks for watching. Take care.